Oh, hey, you're up.
Am I in a dorm room?
Yeah, I folded your pants for you.
Great.
Dude, did you hear that or what?
Go shorty, it's your birthday.
Stop global warming.
We gon' party like it's your birthday. We gon' sip and party like it's your
You
birthday.
sneaky little biatch. Maybe you should switch to water next time. Super helpful. Don't be late to party tonight.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Tree, happy birthday.
You can find me in the club, bottle full of bub. Look, mommy, I got the head sick and taking drugs. I'm in the habit.
You scared me.
Hey, you're up.
Look, I know this isn't gonna make any sense.
Stop global warming?
I feel like I'm losing my mind.
You sneaky little biatch. Happy birthday.
I've already lived through this day. Somebody's gonna kill me tonight. So you're getting here now.
But is everything okay?
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
Assuming that I believe any of this is even possible.
Sprinklers? Car alarm?
The way I see it, you have unlimited amount of lives. Unlimited opportunities to solve your own murder.
So I'm supposed to keep dying until I figure out who my killer is?
You want to live to see tomorrow, right? Whoever's killing you knows it's your birthday.
Pretty much the entire school knows.
These are signs of major trauma. You should be dead.
You relive the same day over and over again. Kind of start to see who you really are.
I did it! Woo!
All units, we've got a 187.
And welcome to the Back to the Movie Hero Network. This is Wheel of Movies, episode number 30. Tonight, if you hadn't guessed it already from the trailer, we are talking Happy Death Day from 2017. A more modern movie. You know, usually we get some of these older ones on here, but yeah, kind of a fairly recent movie, so to speak. But as always, I'm here with my co-host, Richie Goodacre. How's it going, Richie?
Yeah, no, going good. It's been a while since I've seen you. It's a joke.
I know. And it'll be a while after this, right? Am I right?
So yeah, no, it's usually the case on Thursdays. But yeah, and if you talk about Happy Death Day, it was one of the rare ones where I didn't feel like I needed to rewatch. I've seen this movie like 5 times, so kind of. I'm pretty well versed in the movie. Is when you talk about it, but oh yeah, that scene, yeah, I can talk about it. So it wasn't, yeah. So, but yeah, that's because I really enjoy this movie, enjoy the concept, and yeah, I think it works really well, as we'll get into, and yeah, it's be fun to do a dive into it. So yeah.
Yeah, no, interesting. Well, I feel like I saw that trailer in theaters like 20 times. They played the shit out of that trailer. I remember just attached to almost every, at least every R-rated movie, that I saw or anything remotely horror. I saw that trailer a ton. I got almost sick of it, but yeah. So we'll talk about. I mean, we can talk about it now. Yeah, that 50 Cent song isn't in the movie, which I remember going to see the movie and being like, "What is this? What is this other
It's
thing?"
your birthday. Come on, pick up the phone.
Yeah, I was like, "What is that?" Like, I thought it was supposed to be in the club.
Yeah.
And they played this goofy birthday song, which they made for the movie. Apparently, the sound supervisor or the music supervisor made that song, and because it's only 20 seconds, which is fine. But yeah, it ends up being kind of an earworm that you start saying, after you see the movie a little bit, especially when it's on your birthday, you start going, "Hey, it's my birthday!" Now you gotta pick up the phone. But it's not bad. So yeah, we are talking Happy Death Day, directed by Christopher Landon, who's become quite the sort of acclaimed, at least horror filmmaker. Not initially because he did Paranormal Activity, the marked ones, which is not great. yeah. He started out a little rocky, but he did make this the sequel and Freaky, which a lot of people like the movie Freaky a lot. And then he did that. Our Friends a Ghost. What is it? We Have a Ghost.
We Have a Ghost. It's not as good, but sort of in the same horror comedy vein. And he was also a director that was briefly attached to Scream 7.
For a little while, and I was excited about that. I was like, "Oh, maybe he could bring something kind of cool and fresh to it." And then he was gone almost just as fast. And then he does have a new movie coming out next year that he is actually directing. He's produced a lot of stuff. If you go to his Wikipedia, produced or written some stuff. But he's got a movie called Drop coming out next April. It says it's a thriller. It's about a widowed mom who gets threatened over the phone, and this person's making them do all kinds of crazy things. So some kind of thriller.
Cellular or something?
Yeah, sort of. But I've seen shorts, like there's a Black Mirror short where a guy has to do all these threats over these text messages over the phone, or something bad will happen blackmail wise, that sort of thing. So it could be something similar to that. Christopher Nolan will have a new movie next year, so we can look forward to that. But yeah, as far as this one, October 13th, 2017. Yes, it was in fact a Friday the 13th back in 2017 in October. So that's always fun when there's a Friday the 13th in October. But again, appropriately enough, came out around Halloween time. How's this, Richie? Budget $4.8 million, so roughly $5 million budget. That tracks for a horror movie. Again, we've talked about a lot of horror movies on here that are kind of under $10 million, and with a return of $125 million. So there you go. And so hell of a hit for Blumhouse there, and a hell of a return.
This was also around the time where horror movies are still doing relatively well, but horror movies are crushing around this time. Like I think it's around the time It Chapter 1 came out.
Yeah, same year. Yeah. So and it did come out like a month before that too. Yeah, people were in it. So that and it was it was I believe this was PG-13, right? So yeah, it was not fun stuff for what it is, and it wasn't too crazy. So I think it was a fairly mainstream one that a lot of people saw, got a lot of buzz. Excellent return. The sequel still made money, but not as much. Bumped up the budget a little bit, $9 million, and the sequel makes $64 million. So about half the return, unfortunately. But again, still profitable because it had a low budget. So still made money.
And that's, I think that's something on this wheel. We might get to it one day, but I like how they went different. It's more a sci-fi sort of film, sci-fi horror as opposed to just straight up.
Yeah, the horror is kind of in the background a lot more in that second one, where it's like going on, but it's much more about solving the time loop thing, more than the murder stuff in this one, or her like solving the murder in here. So, but yeah, we'll get into it. So just a couple of notes, not a ton of trivia for this one. The mask was the baby mask, created by Tony Gardner, who created the Ghostface mask. So he makes a pretty good one here as well. And obviously he had a big hit with the Ghostface mask. That one did quite well and is still in every Halloween, Spirit Halloween store or anything, you see all over the place. So very iconic one there. I wouldn't call this one iconic, but it's definitely a uniat one with the creepy.
Yeah, I think there'd be enough people around though. Like if you wore it on Halloween, there'd be something. There'd be at least like if you're in like a friendship like group, like at a party, there'll be at least a couple people who'll be like, from that movie. Yeah,
no, I mean there would definitely be like some recognition, but I just don't think it's as like mainstream, obviously, as the Scream mask. But speaking of that, there was a lawsuit coming out of this from the creator of the mascot of the New Orleans Pelicans, the NBA team. There's a mascot called King Cake Baby, if you've ever heard of him. And I'll do a little back and forth here. Have you ever heard of this?
I can't. Maybe I'm remembering wrong, but because like John Oliver sometimes does stuff about like mascots and stuff. He might have brought it up. So
he's been on many lists of the creepiest, any kind of sports mascot. But I'll do the back and forth. But the creator of that mascot sued the filmmakers of this one due to a design thing. So here's the original. Here's the Happy Death Day, baby design. There's the baby mask, the 1-2
Yeah.
creepy eyes. Again, pretty creepy little design. Here is the king cake baby right on the right there. So
that is, I mean, he has a case, I think.
yeah, I think he's got a case. There's only one tooth on the other one. The eyes are a little different, but man, there might be a case there. Yeah, it's.
I was ready to throw cold water on it because all of these lawsuits are frivolous and stupid. But I was like, maybe.
Well, and here's the deal: there might have been something to it, Richie, because in 2021 there was a settlement, so he got some money.
Yeah.
So he didn't win in court, but if you get a settlement, it kind of means. Yeah, we really don't want to take this to court because you probably got a case. So, one of the examples I give of that of somebody who had a legitimate copyright on something and something in our vein, Richie, in the wrestling world, if you remember Shark Boy, the wrestler, had a legitimate copyright to the Shark Boy name. And then when The Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl, the Disney film, was coming out, he filed a lawsuit. And then and he settled out of court with Disney, and then he retired from wrestling. That should tell you.
He wrestles on the off occasion now because he doesn't need to.
He basically just became a mascot at TNA Impact tapings, outside the place where they did it, because I used to see him out there when they would kind of bring people in from the theme park, to fill in. And then he never actually he didn't really physically wrestle other than on occasion. And that should tell you everything you need to know about how much he got out of Disney for that one, because he had a legitimate copyright and threatened to shut down the movie, and probably had a legitimate claim to that. So he got a nice fat Disney settlement, probably a 7-figure settlement. So that dude never wrestled again. So I always like to point that out. That's a true story. A few other things. So at the time, Christopher Landon, he went with the baby thing because he thinks it was kind of a subtle thing. His wife was pregnant at the time when they were making the movie, so he thought babies were kind of on his mind, and he just thought it'd be creepy. And then when they came with the mask, it scared a lot of the people at the offices. So they said they went with it, and again, it was fairly unique for what it was. So the writer of the movie, Scott LaBelle or something like that. My handwriting is a little messed up, but he wanted to subvert the trope, Richie, of the a mean girl always getting killed at the beginning of a horror movie, and then the nice girl kind of being your final girl. So he just merged that into the one character, as we see of Tree, where she kind of starts out as the mean bitchy girl and sort of has a character transformation through the movie and becomes the one you kind of root for at the end. So subverting the trope of merging it all into one character and actually having the character go through a little arc.
Yeah, well, that makes more sort of. I don't know. I like that kind of flipping it on its head.
Yeah, because I had forgotten when I rewatched this movie, how much of kind of a bitch she is at the beginning of the movie, and I'm like, oh yeah, she is kind of unlikable at the beginning of this one. But I was like, but I don't remember her being. But I was like, okay, but it makes sense for the character, what she goes through, and she kind of, changes, a little bit. So that's cool. It's cool. There was an original ending, so the ending of this one is, she obviously, we'll get into it. She figures out who the killer is and kills them, and then she, and she escapes the loop and whatnot. And kind of moves on. The original ending had a callback to something earlier in the film. She was in the hospital due to her fight, with the killer at the end of the movie. She wins. She's in the hospital, but as she's being a nurse comes in, kind of under a surgical mask, opens up. It is the doctor's wife, the one she was cheating with the doctor throughout the movie, and the doctor's wife kills her in revenge and kills her. And that's how the movie originally ended. Test audiences rejected that ending horribly, so they changed it.
So it would actually she would probably die because of the loop
Yeah, she would actually die. Yeah, no more looping. She would actually die. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it'd be like the next day or something like that. So she survived the day. She's still in the hospital, and then she would have been killed by the doctor's wife, the one that was getting cheated on. So it's a callback to an earlier thing, but I think at this point in the movie, test audiences rejected it because Tree has properly kind of redeemed herself. You know what I mean? So and she changed her character, so that would seem overly cruel, I think, at that point. And she even cuts it off with the doctor. She kind of ends that subplot a little bit. You know what I mean? It just would be weird to kind of call back to that again and have a pretty
this film does seem like you're shooting yourself in the foot because this again this movie did make as we said, this movie made bank, so it's well. You're killing off your main character. How are you gonna? I mean, you could you know, how you're gonna do a sequel, but I guess then they could do it with a different character. Like you assume that the second one is going to be with a different character, like through that, like the first, you know, it's a big,
Yeah.
you know, it's a fake out with the first like 10 minutes of that, like first 10, 15 minutes of that Asian dude, and then but like it'd be weird without like no sort of, you know, tree in the midst. So I don't know. I get why they would reject that ending, even though I don't think I've heard of test audiences rejecting worse endings.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, no, in this case, I agree with the test audiences. I don't think that would have worked. I prefer kind of where it ends up in our proper story. And the only other real thing is the scene where she walks around nude, around the campus was real. She was actually fully nude during the filming of the scene, and then they did their best to make sure that there was no onlookers or spectators. They kind of blocked it out with different things, panels and things on the sides, and tried to block it all out and make it as kind of isolated as possible. But Jessica Rotha stated that she was really nude during that scene. So that is, she didn't even have, little pasties on or anything like that. She was fully out there. So
good on her.
Good on her, I guess. But it's not a proper nude scene in the movie, as far as you don't really see everything. It's mostly kind of
like
makeup shots.
PG-13, they got, even though back in the day, it's just weird how on a PG-13 movie, like that, like 80s or whatever, they don't care. They'll show
everything. Yeah.
Now we can't.
Yeah. So that's all I really got. Richie, did you see this one when it was originally released in theaters, or did you catch it later?
Yeah. I saw it in theaters when it came out, and I was pleasantly surprised. And then I've subsequently seen it. Like a lot most of the time, around Halloween season. So I've seen it around like I said, like 5 times. Just because it's just one of those like sort of fun and sort of I love horror comedies. Fun, it's sort of easy watches. It's not like overly long either. So it's just kind of it's just one of those ones where it's like, oh yeah, cool. I can sort of zone out for whatever, how long it is, 90 minutes, 100 minutes.
96 minutes, yeah, but I mean, that's with credits, so really about 90 minutes or so. So yeah, again, a proper length for the horror movie that I appreciate. Most horror movies should be, as I've said, most horrors and comedies and family movies should be around 90 minutes, so good on them for not overstaying your welcome.
Yeah, so that's sort of, and I'm like, I've always sort of liked that sort of Groundhog Day time loop thing. It's weird that and it is interesting because it's taken this long for them to capitalize on that. To do a Groundhog Day thing with a different genre. I thought.
It's not the only one. There is a movie called Time Crimes, a Spanish movie that I think came out before this. It's not like the same style because it's not like you're following one character just living the same day over and over again. It's like this loop of events that goes kind of in a more like a circular thing, that we keep bouncing around to, and it's like one singular kind of event. It's a cool little movie for what it is. It doesn't have the budget of Happy Death Day, even at $5 million. I think it's like $1 million movie. The Time Crimes one is, but I do recommend it. It's a really cool movie.
I follow this dude on YouTube who I think it's like Bad Good Films or something, or Good Bad Film. But and he mentioned Time Crimes. I can picture the poster. It's like to do with like a pink balaclava or something like that.
And it's not totally what you think as far as when you get into the movie, that it's not initially like a slasher thing. And the movie only takes place, it's looping the same hour, so it's not like a whole day. It's like a 1 hour time frame of events that you see almost like kind of out of order, and then it bounces between the different like almost locations of what's going on, and then you kind of piece the puzzle together as far as like what the events of the hour. You eventually kind of see how they all come together and flow from one to the other, sort of a thing.
Yeah, and I've seen like other, like there was like I vaguely remember it was like a drama thriller movie, like remember Vantage Point, where they have
but Vantage Point got boring because it was like 7 different people's perspectives, and by the time you get like by the time you get to the 4th or 5th one, you're like, okay, I got it. Like, can we just move on?
But I don't know. It's interesting that you'd think there'd be a lot more of these than they are. But anyway, I'm glad. But in a way, that's pretty good because otherwise it'd be watered down by now.
Yeah, no, and they do actually reference, Groundhog Day at the end of this movie, in dialogue. So, and Tree is unfamiliar with it, which I thought was funny. She's like, I don't know what that is. So, but yeah, no, I like to at least kind of call it out because that's what it was compared to. It's like, oh, it's a horror, Groundhog Day kind of thing. But I will say, Tree is not stuck in the time loop nearly as long as Bill Murray is implied to be stuck in that time loop in Groundhog's Day. Somebody say it's something like, 1,000 years or something like that, like in that movie, because all the stuff that people have like done the calculations of how he would know this thing, that thing, become a master pianist, do this, that, and the other, and like it's something like astronomical. Like he would have been stuck in there for like centuries. You know what I mean? Like something crazy.
It would drive you absolutely bonkers, but
yeah.
But yeah, it wouldn't be like even in this one, like you couldn't like. It's weird. Like how do you prosecute someone like? If they if you like, say if you're the killer and you kill Tree, but then she revives the next day, like, I guess we'll get you for assault then.
Well, I don't know how it works I don't know if many movies have dove into, I guess the other people though continue to live, right?
Yeah.
So if she killed Tree, and again we're kind of spoiling the movie. So if the roommate chick, what's her name, kills her, right? The Lori chick kills her. In her bubble, she would move on to the next day, right?
Yeah.
In that it's almost like a string theory thing where like these all exist in their own little universe, right? So Tree's the only one living in this moment, right? But the other ones would theoretically continue whatever events happen in that loop to the next day, right?
Yeah, so, sort of like what's it called? A quantum. Is it? Like quantum dynamics or whatever it's called. Like there are things that parallel. It's just parallel universe. Like so like that. Like she would live out in another universe. In this alternate universe, she would be living. Like her life, sans Tree or doing, having killed her, but then in this other sort of universe, Tree pops back up, and I don't know.
She starts over a whole new thing. Yeah, I think it's a whole thing. They all exist in little separate parallel universes or something. So I think that's the idea because there's been like Star Trek episodes about that, and they do say that one of them Carter dies, in this movie, her friend, and that obviously if she gets out of the loop, then that just continues, and so she would be dead from that point on. But because she revives, but in that bubble of a universe, she reverts back, but Carter would still be dead, I'm assuming, right? So that dude's life in that parallel universe is now over. So it's just it's Carter number 8 or whatever. It's still you could say like a timeline number 8, 9, 10, whatever that continue to go on and what happens. I'm sure somebody's mapped it out. But I mean that's the idea. Is we kind of open up and we set up all the primary people. We set up her roommate Lori. We set up the Danielle chick, the kind of stuck up, sorority chick, who's up her own ass, who's but it's a fairly trope. But I think the girl who plays her, Rachel Matthews, she's fun. I think she plays it up, best she can, and it's very entertaining. She's entertaining.
But it's definitely like a trope, but like, and it still exists today. But at the same time, like tropes come from somewhere. I feel like there's always that one person that's sort of in that group. So I think I think she kind of nails it there. You get Carter, the guy she wakes up with, played by Israel Broussard, who hasn't been in a lot of stuff of note outside of these movies. If you go back earlier, he was in The Bling Ring. He was in The Chaperone, the Triple H movie. So if you want to go back and see him in that, he was in there. But his most recent thing is 2021, so it's been a couple of years since he worked. A lot of these actors did not go on to do a whole lot, or at least some of them are still working, but are not super famous. Even Jessica Roth is like, she didn't like come into a lot of work after this. Like she's in Boy Kills World, but it's like
before that it was like she did kind of a remake of Valley Girl. She did a movie called All My Life. But yeah, nothing really crazy. Yeah, Boy Kills World, she's in that.
And she wasn't even meant to be in that. She replaced. I think she replaced somebody. Was that?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know who she replaced in that. I have to look it up. But she was apparently before this. She was in La La Land. I don't remember her in that, but she's in there. Yeah, I mean, she's been working again. For what it is. But yeah, I thought with this thing, a lot of people said this was going to be like her big breakout, and I feel like that hasn't really happened yet, unfortunately. And it's a shame because I think she's really good in this movie. I think she's great, actually. Yeah,
I like her. I think I can't remember what we're doing, but I think I put it on like a suggestion for a recast thing. What was it for? So one of for what was it? Was it? It might have been Pulp Fiction, actually. I can't remember, but
okay,
it was something. But yeah, I guess because I just want to see more Jessica Roth. I think she's got charisma. I think there's something to her, and she's got a good look. I'm surprised, more offers haven't come, to a table, but
yeah.
Hopefully
Jordan's at least joining us while he's making delivery. So yeah, he was supposed to be on here. He's running a little late with this stuff tonight, but thanks for watching, Jordan. Appreciate it. I don't know where you get Tree from Teresa. Yeah, that's a little weird. I remember going to see the movie and being like, Tree? Why does everybody call her Tree? Like Teresa Tree, maybe, but I've never heard anybody shorten up Teresa. Like that's a super long name to shorten up.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like I would maybe because Teresa's like particularly like maybe associated with like old. It's like an older name, but like I don't know. If it was me personally, I'd probably prefer to be called Teresa Tree. Tree's a weird name.
Yeah, Tree's a strange name, or just T. You could just be T. That's fine. Let's call you T. It's a strange name for whatever it is. But we get to see her. She's kind of she's not terribly nice to most of the people she interacts with. She kind of blows off the roommate, and the roommate makes the cupcake that we'll see an appearance of a couple of times. She blows that off.
She's making a hangover most of the time, right?
She's hungover from the night before. Yeah, she had been out partying, and supposedly they're going to go to another party. So I guess she's presumably going to get really drunk again. That seems like a bad idea.
She might have an alcohol problem. I don't know.
She might be a little bit of an alcoholic. Yeah, she probably could be. But yeah, she doesn't just, by the way, like set the cupcake down. She flat out throws it in the garbage. I was like, that's pretty disrespectful. That is like pretty hateable. Like this person made,
that's delicious.
Like, I understand if you're not hungry or anything like that, but like, oh my God, throwing it in the garbage right in front of her is pretty blatant. You know what I mean?
I mean, despite your animosity towards her, like you'll get hungry later, and that looks delicious.
Yeah, no, it looked like a really well made cupcake. Yeah, it's like properly shaped and nicely iced on the top. It's like a professional. It's like the cupcake in. Oh my God, no! Why am I brain farting tonight? Bridesmaids, the cupcake she makes in Bridesmaids. Like the one cupcake that Kristen Wiig makes in Bridesmaids. Remember she had the whole sequence where she just makes one cupcake in the pan, and it's like a perfect little, It looks exactly like that, like a professional bakery. So I mean, we find out later there's something up with that cupcake, but still, it seems kind of properly rude.
I'd fall for it. But man,
I probably would because I'm a sucker for cupcakes. By the way, the cupcake trick is the best. If you know the cupcake hack, you peel the bottom off of it so you don't have that awkward bottom part. You stick it on top and then you make a sandwich. That's what you do.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I will keep that in mind.
You pluck that thing off the bottom so that way you're not like eating awkwardly like around the thing. You put it on top and you squeeze it together and you make a little cupcake sandwich. That's the best way to eat a cupcake. So, and it's a little less messy. Anyways, we kind of set up all of our primary players. She makes her way to the party. We set up the professor guy who she's sleeping with, her college professor, which again is also kind of a no-no, even though they're both adults at least, so it's not a high school situation.
I also feel like that happens a lot in these movies as well. It's like,
the hot professor who is sleeping with.
And it's like sleeping around. And
actually, didn't we just had that in our last movie? We just had that in Candyman. With Xander Berkeley sleeping with the girl, and then her friend or whatever.
Yeah, and I was about to say, like in the 90s, and that it's not even like treated at like a lot, not all movies, but in the 90s, it was sort of, and earlier, it's like not treated as like as big of a as big a deal as it should. Like this time, it's like, oh, I don't know, I guess they're adults, but sometimes it's like.
Yeah. But yeah, we get our first murder. Yeah, the guy in the or we don't know if it's a guy or a girl. To be fair, yeah, it's a person in a baby mask catches her in this tunnel with this little birthday statuette thing that's spinning around, this little music box, and then kills her. As she tries to run away, and she wakes up again, and yeah, again, not to end the club, which I kept fully expecting, but she wakes up instead to this thing.
Yeah.
That thing.
I was just like, okay. Yeah, I was like, okay. Well, maybe eventually she wakes up to end the club. Maybe that's at the end. But I'm thinking maybe that they blew their budget over on the music in the trailer, and they're like, oh shit.
Yeah. Wait, how much? 50 Cent. How much do you want to actually use it in the movie? Yeah, we can't afford that on $5 million.
You do realize it's a famous song.
Yeah, it is his most famous song. So yeah, I'm sure it would be properly expensive. So yeah, maybe in a bigger budget movie. But yeah, so she wakes up again. Fun little fact. So in my rewatch, I watched it with my girlfriend who had never seen it. And I didn't tell her anything about it, so she didn't even know the premise. So she was already weirded out when the Universal logo does a little skip rewind at the beginning. She thought like something was glitching, and then the movie plays out, and then she gets killed, and then wakes up again, and she started getting this look on her face like, wait, what? And then she started realizing it's a time loop movie. So she did not know that. So it actually works if you hadn't seen the trailer. It might be a surprise because hey. To be fair, if you hadn't seen the trailer or if you just knew the thing, I mean, again, they played this trailer 1,000 times. I don't know how you didn't see it, but if somehow you didn't see it, you just went in blind, this might come as a surprise. It's one of those things where you're 15 minutes in the movie and your main character dies, and then they start back over. So, I mean, they completely spoiled most of the movie in that trailer. I was surprised.
I was about to say that they showed too much in that trailer.
They show a lot in that trailer. Yeah, a whole lot in that trailer. Like they reveal almost the entire plot in that trailer, which is kind of infuriating. Yeah, it's a long one. They could have shortened that thing up and easily teased it. But yeah, she wakes up. She starts the next one. She kind of remembers stuff, but she thinks it's just kind of deja vu, or she's still kind of hungover, so it's just fuzzy. And then she gets killed again, at the actual party because she makes it to the party, this time, and so it's a little bit different because she actually makes it and properly runs away, but she just ends up getting killed at the party instead.
It's sort of like a video game. You get further each time.
Yeah, she got to the checkpoint last time, and then you got past the checkpoint this time to another checkpoint. But yeah. Unfortunately, you still died. The boss still killed you. So yeah, no, it's very much like that. Like you expanded the world a little further and the story a little further, but you still got caught. Yes, so she gets caught. She wakes up again, starts to realize she's actually in some kind of time loop. But and this time she, barricades herself in her room, thinking that, okay, I just won't go out tonight. I'll just, lock myself in. That's where we get the first tease of the rolling blackout, which is a nice callback later, which I had actually forgotten about. And then there's a nice callback to it. Later in the movie, we'll get there. But she still gets killed anyways, which should be your first clue that it's somebody in the house. It's somebody in the house.
Yeah.
So.
Is this movie too where they have like that running joke, but this dude who's like very obviously
the red herring
is very obviously homosexual, and yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then eventually she's just like gets fed up, and then like cuts him off like, you're gay.
No, yeah, well, that's a little bit because there's a montage of her doing what Carter. She has to sit down with Carter. She proves to him that she's in the loop. She calls out the thing in Groundhog's Day. Sprinkler, car alarm. Guy passing out. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. All the stuff. Boom, 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 boom. But Carter, has the suggestion. Hey, maybe if you solve your murder and figure out who it is, it'll end the loop, and if you can get to him for it. So she starts going. There's a montage where she's going through all the suspects, kind of like a Scream movie. So she checks out the guy who is hounding her at the beginning. No, he's gay, and he's not a killer. Okay, mark him off. Mark off the roommate. Mark off Carter's roommate. Mark off Carter. You mark off. She marks off Danielle. She's marking off. People, whatever. And then so it's a fun little montage of her. As she's figuring things out, she like turns around and the killer's there, or she goes into another room and the killer's there. So like she's marking people off, but she's still getting killed every time. And they introduced a concept, Richie, that I thought was interesting. I don't know how it works realistically, but they introduced the concept that she's sustaining damage almost like a video game, but it's still there every time she wakes up. So like if she get the one where she gets hit in the head with the baseball bat, she wakes up and she's got a concussion. Like she basically has a concussion, and she's loopy and dizzy. She's getting stabbed, and she's having like trouble breathing and kind of standing up. And they do the X-ray thing with the doctor, and he's like, "You've sustained like fatal stab wounds according to this X-ray," that sort of thing. So I don't know. Does this concept make sense, or
does it imply though that like she can like at some point there's a cutoff, and there's there's only so much damage you can take within the loop, and you're just gonna.
Well, but how much is it? Because one of these things is fatal. So how much fatal damage does she have to take before she actually dies?
Yeah, they're gonna have to take up like physically remove your lungs from your body.
Well, I was gonna say, unless she physically got if she got decapitated, she probably wouldn't wake up theoretically, right?
Yeah, just, you see like a head wake up.
I mean, well, even then. Man, I got confused. I thought about the second movie because I saw the second trailer a lot with this one, so I kept waiting for the spot where she jumped out of the plane, but that's in the second one. But I thought when she was going to the bell tower, I was like, well, if she jumps off, like how would your body survive you falling and getting splattering all over the ground?
She'd be in like pieces. Now
But she hangs herself, so she's got kind of a crick in her neck, when she wakes up and kind of a thing like that. But I don't know what is the threat. I mean, Carter asked a little bit about that. He's like, maybe your 9 lives are running out or whatever. Maybe there is a limit to. At some point you're going to die and not wake up. And he's wondering kind of what it is. And I'm wondering too, they never quite answer that question. It's kind of left a little bit implied that maybe she's got a few left, but not much. She's got to kind of hurry up and figure it out. I don't know.
I know. And I get it. And like in that universe too, like, can you, like, do you age normally? You know what I mean? Like, I guess you would. It's just a matter of taking damage, right? Like
I think it's just taking damage. I mean, she looks worse for wear kind of throughout the movie. She looks like she's hurting and rough, but she's not aging per se. I don't think she would age. She's still just living that one day, and even if she lived through a year, she would live only age a year, which is not that much. So I mean, Bill Murray doesn't age in Groundhog Day; he stays the same for however many years and years and years he's in. But I don't know, and he doesn't take any damage in that movie because he kills himself over and over again. One of the montages. But I don't know. They just kind of imply certain things, and you just kind of have to fill in the gaps. They don't even really explain how she got in the time loop until the sequel. So, I thought they sort of explored that more in this one, but they leave it kind of open and ambiguous how she got into it in the first place.
Yeah. I'm sort of maybe thinking of the age thing because I was maybe crossing hands with like this and like remember Age of Adeline where they do that? It's like
god, yeah, the young Harrison Ford movie or whatever that thing.
Yeah. They finally can't.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
No. I just like. I mean, we can't talk about. I'm not going to talk about this movie on the show. But it's like just find it funny at the end of that movie. It's like she finally gets finally breaks a curse or whatever, and then like she finds like one gray hair. I'm like, at this point, you'd be in your 80s, 90s. It'd be you would wake up and you would have wrinkles all over your body. You would be hungover. You would have more than one gray hair. Your hair would be fully gray.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So there's the bit where she thinks she escapes the killer, at the hospital. She gets the car. She thinks if I guess her logic is if I escape and survive the night, maybe I'll break the loop as well. Maybe not just kill the guy, but kind of survive just initially, maybe if I just get far away and just drive all night and survive, I'll break the loop. Which again, if you're in a loop, you might as well try anything you can. Like, just you don't know how you're going to break it. So that's as good a logic as any, that if you just, if you're getting killed over and over again, you figure if you survive, you'll make it. But she still gets killed in that one. Yeah. That's the car scene they show in the trailer, where she still gets blowed up. And because her logic is like, oh, I'm getting pulled over. Oh yeah. Just arrest me. Lock me in a jail cell. He can't get me. Okay. Sound logic though. Not bad. Makes sense.
Yeah. No, you could get away with a lot of stuff because, like, like in that it'd be like almost like that, like a purge thing. Really, it's like 24 hours, and then it's like that never happened. It'd be like that never happened. Like, I don't know. And that does sound logic. And then then you have the montage where she's just like, oh, well, I guess I'll just try killing myself over and over again.
Yeah,
maybe that will
yeah.
break it eventually. And then
no, she eventually figures out no, she has to actually physically kill this killer. She can't just like survive. And she's got to kind of go back to the figuring out the whole thing and seeing who it was. She thinks it's definitely this red herring thing where she thinks it's this killer guy who's at the hospital who's like this. They don't explain a whole lot about him. He's some kind of guy they caught recently, but some kind of serial killer or something or other, killer of women, who's like in this hospital, but he escapes.
I feel like the most obvious one is never going to be the most obvious.
Oh no! In the theater, I was like, "Oh no, that's way too obvious."
Remember, like in Halloween Kills, the dumb scene in Halloween Kills, where they all thought that Michael Myers was just like,
You mean the guy who looked like the Penguin was Michael Myers? Yeah.
It's just like, dude, he looks nothing. What are you guys doing? You're all dumb. Like, he doesn't look anything like Michael Myers. And he's and then they all then Michael Myers shows up and then someone get killed. It's like, well, like you killed, and then they don't kill him that dude. It's like, well, poor dude. I mean, you fucking but it's like that. It's like, well, and usually in these films, and even not even films, I mean, like detective shows, police procedurals, it's the person that gets who's like maybe reoccurring, but gets the least amount of screen time. You're like, oh, what was that person?
Yeah, it's literally the person who I had, and even going into this movie, I had forgotten who it was actually, because I've only seen this movie. This may be my third time seeing it. I saw it in the theater, saw it like maybe I think I watched it 2 years later before the sequel came out, and that was the last time I saw it. So it had been probably 5 years since I saw this movie, so I forgot it was the roommate, the Lori chick. I completely forgot about that. I forgot about the cupcake thing. But yeah, also I'm not necessarily calling bullshit, but the person in the thing looks like they have a different build than Lori. I'm pretty sure it's a male stunt.
Again, it's probably like a Scream thing where you like just suspend disbelief. You're like, oh, really? Like, okay.
It's 90-pound.
Jill would kill Emma Roberts would kill all these people. I'm supposed to believe Jill was responsible for those killing. Okay, I'm supposed to believe what was it? The other chick from like Scream 6, Leanne, the brother, the actress, the name's like, am I supposed to believe that like she would overpower that big Gal Weathers' big black boyfriend? No, she wouldn't. So there's some sort of there's you can suspend your disbelief a bit here, where it's just like I don't know. How if this person was killed, how they would actually fare. Weapons aside, I don't, I don't know. It just sometimes it asks you to spend too much disbelief, but
it didn't quite look like her, but you got to suspend your disbelief a little bit. But so she thinks she's kind of figured it out, that she thinks it's this serial killer guy. So she makes a plan. She kind of puts a plan in place. She decides she's going to have a great day. She's going to be super nice to everybody. So she does the Bill Murray thing. She's like, helping people left and right. She's, asking Carter out that night. They pick up a thread that they kind of laid down with her dad calling her. She actually goes to the lunch, with her dad. And then we find out that, she's kind of been ignoring the day because it was, I guess, it's the anniversary of like her mom's death, which they pick up on in the sequel, if I remember right. They pick up on that.
They do, yeah. I think like at some they talk about how she died, but then they like through like I can't remember how, but like there's like an interaction there somehow. I don't know how, but yeah, there's like,
I it makes me want to go back and watch the sequel again because I don't remember because they say the mom's dead in this one, right? Like she's gone, but I vividly remember in the sequel her having like lunch with her mom in that one because they make a big deal about how it's like the only time she's ever gonna see her, so she keeps reliving the day just so she can enjoy the time with the mom. And I don't know how that works if it's the same day or something, or it's a different day. I don't know. Like she go back and like further in time or something.
I think she can like maybe like there's certain time where she can choose to go back to like having a better. Last time mom or like prevent her from dying in the first place. So yeah, I remember that lunch scene. I remember I can vaguely remember the what she looked like in the actress sort of playing her. So yeah, I do remember like the mom. It was more of a focal point, like her backstory in the second one.
Right. Yeah, no, so they touch on that a little bit, and yeah, they kind of have a kind of a heart to heart and sort of put aside kind of squash their beef, if you will. So yeah, and then she gears up. We have a little gearing up thing where she's pulling her hair back. She's like hiding knives in her belt, all kinds of stuff. She's getting ready. She goes to the hospital. She tells him to call the cops, so the guy's going to escape. She goes to kill the guy, and they have a brief little fight. She sets a timer, which again was the callback that I'd forgotten about, where the guy's about to kill her, and then there's the rolling blackout, which she has on her watch. So that was really clever because you kind of forgotten about it at that point, and that's a nice little callback to the blackout. That was clever.
No,
I liked it.
No, I like that one too. It's like it's sort of like it's not like one too on the nose. It's like a clever comeback where it was the thing that that's like a thing that's just sort of touched upon earlier that you would have forgotten. So yeah, I don't mind that. It's like less obvious. So yeah, I appreciated it.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, she gets some shots in. She actually kills the guy, so she thinks she's home free. Her and Carter go back. This is kind of the false ending because her and Carter go back to her room. They're celebrating the birthday, and she eats the cupcake. But then, surprise, she wakes up again, still in the loop, and she, is wondering how the hell she's going to get out. She thinks she's going to, she's going to be stuck in this thing forever, no matter what. And then she kind of puts it all together that the cupcake was poison, so she still died anyways. And she figures out this. She pieced it together that Lori's the nurse, at the hospital and all that kind of stuff, doing all the diversion, this that, and the other. It does make a little bit of sense in the loop, Richie, where she locked herself in a room. Well, obviously she would still be in the house. She could be hiding. She's hiding in the closet. So it makes sense. She would have access to the house. So that makes sense. It's just one of those ones where, when looking back on the movie, you're like, yeah, of course it's the Law and Order thing of the one that you saw at the beginning of the movie that didn't have a lot of screen time is the one that's doing everything. Because that's the whole Law and Order thing. If you watch any Law and Order episode, it's like the second person that the detectives talk to. And then they leave him for a while and they come back to him, at the end of the episode. Yeah. So always like the second or third person they go interrogate is always like the person. It's the same thing.
Well, there's this like British one that I think they're doing an American version, but it was like this very popular British procedural like called Death in Paradise, where and he'd get like a they'll get the detective at the end will get the whole bunch of all these suspects in a room, and then basically. Look like they're accusing one person and then move on to the next person, accuse the next obvious person, and it'll go to the person, least suspect, like the janitor, like, that's you, because of all this because it's like, I mean, it's cool, but like, once you do that, a few times, I'm like, it's kind of like, it kills the suspense of it, and sometimes, sometimes having the obvious person makes sense. Sometimes, because if you do keep doing we're not going to do the cliche thing, that becomes cliche in itself. So,
the one time they didn't really do that I remember is there was a Law and Order episode where Robin Williams is on there, and it's like, of course it's Robin Williams because he's like the star of the episode, So it's not like a swerve where he's in it for a minute. Like he's in the whole episode and he is the guy. So they'll subvert it every now and then if they get a special guest star. But other times like it'll be like the person later that was just in the beginning. But so it's her. They have a little scuffle. The one thing I thought was a little too much in this one is that they say she was also sleeping with hot professor guy, which is a little much.
Okay, I don't even know how that would. I guess I don't know.
How is this professor guy balancing being a doctor, being a professor, being time with his wife, and having sex with two of his students? How the hell does he have time in the day?
That's what I mean. Like, how would he have he must get no free time whatsoever.
Is he at the hospital and or the school 24 hours a day? Sleeping in his office.
Does he have kids? Because that schedule seems like a nightmare.
No, it's absolutely a nightmare. Yeah, so that's the one thing I thought was a little too. That's one of her motives or motivation. I feel like you could have done something a little bit more than that or different than that. Because that one just seemed like one step a little too far. It's like, oh, he chose you over me. It's like, what? Oh, okay, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
But still, whatever. It's her. But they have a little fight. She stuffs the cupcake down her throat and then kicks her out the window, which is I thought, it was how do you force someone to really eat a cupcake? I don't know. Those cupcakes are hard to eat. They're not it's not like a, swig of water or something. It's like cupcakes are very it's stuck to your top of your mouth and all that kind of stuff. She'd be able to spit that out. but she gets kicked out the window. So it's not just that's not the only thing. She gets kicked out the window and lands on her head. So yeah.
No. But I think the kicking out the window always looks kind of cool though. So the final with this. I thought that looked kind of kind of dope. So but the cupcake thing, that's hard to I'm known to scoff at food, and I can't do that. So but I thought the kick out the window is a nice touch. But there was a decent sort of climax there. But
and it's a callback when she gets kicked out the window. She falls right in front of the girl who she keeps passing on the steps. That's sitting out there with her headphones on. Probably has this horrified reaction to somebody dying right in front of her. I feel like that girl's kind of traumatized for a while, right?
Jesus, I keep passing the same person every time as well, and then all of a sudden, I see this. I don't know.
Girl fall out the window and probably splatter her brains all over the sidewalk. Now you can't unsee that. It's pretty horrifying.
Well, I just if she was right here too, if it's splattered, she might have got brain matter,
I think she got blood on her. I think there's a shot of her with blood splattered on her shirt.
Blood splatter and brain matter on her. It's dude, you don't just go to work or school the next day. You're nah, man.
She's gonna need that trauma counseling the next day.
That is great. Yeah. Oh yeah. I didn't want to see that shit. That's harrowing. But that's. But I guess it's enough.
And they do deal with bitchy sorority girl Danielle in the sequel, right? If I remember right. And there's something implied where they force a time loop on her or something at the end of that movie.
So it's I don't know whether that's made me think because I don't know whether because it's she's just bitchy, and I don't know whether she's just supposed to be some minor role character or whether they had a plan for it. They always had a plan for a sequel, and she would have a more prominent bigger role. So she is got a bigger role in the second one, and then she's got a time limit on her, and which is. I've heard of revenge on somebody, but Jesus Christ, that isn't.
Yeah, that's torturous. Yeah, especially if it's something that could potentially be there forever. One of the more horrifying ones. I know it's fairly horrifying to think how long the Bill Murray's in that one, but this is a little bit of a. It's not really a spoiler for Palm Springs, but Andy Samberg implies in that movie that he's been in that time loop for like 40 years. That's kind of horrifying, right? That's a long time.
Yeah.
I'm 38, so that would all the time I've been alive plus 2 years, you'd be in the time loop. That's a lot of days. That's a lot.
I just feel like that her punishment is a bit the revenge is a bit disproportionate to her crime, just being catty and bitchy, or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, she's bitchy and catty, but she's not like, we all deal with those people. Like, it's like you don't wish like eternal torture on them. It's like, I feel like the spot in the one where she has the one day where she just like pours milk on her and like embarrasses her, like that's proper, right? Like little public humiliation for a day. Like that's fine, right? Like that's all right. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. You get the idea. Don't mess with me. Yeah, cool. Move on.
Yeah, don't mess with me. Like, quit being a bitch. Like, that's fine. Yeah. You kind of embarrass her in a public situation. That's fine. For a day. But yeah, I feel like, God, I really need to rewatch that sequel. I saw it once, and I just remember almost.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of wish it. I mean, it would be. It's very unlikely, but like, if it pops up on the next wheel spin, that'd be fun.
I would. I meant to. I was gonna rewatch it before we went live, just to refresh it, but I ended up watching Horizon today, which took up all of my time, literally. So I can watch Happy Death Day twice in the time I watched Horizon. We're gonna watch the first one again and the sequel in the time I didn't watch Horizon, but it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, so she, they're kind of wrapping up the day. Oh man, fucking Carter plays that prank on her, and I feel like that's really mean. That's really, really mean. When he pretends that when she wakes up the next day and he puts the ringtone back on the phone and says his same thing again, and like,
I'll do laundry for you.
yeah. I was just like, oh my god, and he's like, oh, I'm just kidding. I'm like, I feel like that's just
I would slap. I would punch him. I would be fuck.
Yeah, F you, dude. Like, no fucking way. Like that's like a breakup prank right there. That's pretty bad. But I mean, I guess she's relieved enough to be out of the day that she forgives him. But still, I don't like pranks. I'm not like a prank guy. And that one seems particularly cruel, especially for somebody who just got killed over and over and over again in the time loop. But yeah,
I don't mind pranks less than that. They're not like overly harsh. I don't like this like new generation of like TikTokers who just like make it their kind of their goal to just harass the public.
Pranks are not TikTok pranks. You harassing people at a Walmart is not a prank. It's you making somebody miserable. Like, that's not a prank, or like vandalizing something of theirs or whatever. And then just because you say it's a prank on camera doesn't mean it was a prank. You know what I mean? Like, you're harassing people.
Whereas, like, like stuff like Impractical Jokers, it's the end of the day, it's just the idea is just to make them look silly, make them look stupid.
Yeah.
And it's way more thought out and sort of and funny and clever. So I don't mind that. But yeah, like I don't really think it's sort of like when people you're deciding whether it's a prank based on the reaction of the person.
Yeah, or like some of the pranks they do in like the Jackass movies where like there's funny ones where like Preston walks in with the dog in this certain outfit, and then Wee Man comes out in the same outfit with the grabs the dog and leaves. So the guy thinks it's like, what the hell? Wait, that wasn't the same. Like those are funny. Like it's no harm done. It's just it's silly gags. They're funny gags.
My favorite one where like Wee Man and this other small dude get involved in a bar fight, and then there's police come and they're little people,
little cops, the little paramedics with the little stretcher.
I love that.
No, that's hilarious. That's something you can laugh at. It's no harming. You're not harming anybody or any strangers. It's all fun. Like that's hilarious. That stuff's funny, and you just leave people laughing. That's great. Yeah, I love stuff like that. That's thought out. But yeah, you just like. I see people like, you splash water on somebody and then pretend like it wasn't you, or throw something at somebody and then run away. Like that's not a prank, dude. That's just you messing with people in public and being an asshole. That's not a prank.
It's like it's like it's one thing if you know them, but if it's a stranger, you're like, dude, like what the fuck, you don't even know what day that person's having either. Like you could have like just made it worse.
That could be the one thing that person snaps and they're having the worst day of all time. They go into a gas station to get, I don't know, a soda and a candy bar to maybe feel a little bit better, and you mess with them, they could get you clocked, bro. That could be like the one thing that they're on the edge of insanity.
Yeah, so when I see like these TikTokers get arrested or like TikTok gets punched, I'm like, yeah, and that checks out.
Yeah. But anyways, so he ends with that prank. She gets out of the loop, and we kind of end our movie. And again, I kind of wish I would refresh myself with the sequel because I'm hazy on some of the details. I kind of remember overall it's something about it's more about her memorizing all these math problems, and they're trying to like solve some kind of loop thing, and it's more about that than the horror. I remember that and something with the mom, but I don't remember all the details. So I wish I had. I apologize. I didn't get a chance to. But still talking about this one. A few things left sort of ambiguous. How she got into the time loop, in the first place that I think they said they explained in the sequel. I just don't remember. And a few other little threads, but it's otherwise a fairly self-contained little movie, with this time loop stuff. But we'll start to wrap it up there. But Richie, your kind of overall thoughts on Happy Death Day. You said you watched it, a good 5 times or so. So it obviously must be a pretty breezy, entertaining watch to go back to.
I just find it entertaining. I like the concept and how they do with it. What they do with it. There's small qualms here and there, but it doesn't necessarily take away my enjoyment too much. So I think it's I wouldn't mind. I don't know how they would do it, but I could just stepping back into this universe for if they would do a third one. I think that's been around for a while. I don't know. As years go on, when there's and that sort of.
I think it becomes less and less likely of a third one as time goes by. I feel like that ship has kind of sailed at this point. If you were going to do a third one.
Yeah, I feel like that too. But that being said, it's not like you said, it's not like Jessica Roth is busy with heaps of projects as far as I know. But maybe.
The most recent thing I saw from earlier this year is that Christopher Landon said he has an outline and a story, but he doesn't have a script yet, and he's pitching it to Universal right now, trying to get a third one done. I mean, realistically, again, even though the second one came in with less money, it was still profitable. And again, if he keeps it to $10 million or less, it's almost guaranteed to at least probably make $50 million at least to make money. It'll still make a profit. Yeah.
I know. By the way, I was looking up the person that she replaced in Boyka's World, Samara Weaving. So that checks out. Not Margot Robbie. I enjoy this film. I enjoy the ride, and I just think it's a breezy watch. So it's cool. It was cool to and it's cool to talk about. And I was glad when it came up on the wheel. I wasn't even 100% sure it wasn't on the back. I'm glad it was.
I mean, again, I've only seen it a couple of times. But I've enjoyed each of my watches. I think it's a very breezy, kind of lighthearted movie. They don't get too graphic with the kills or anything. It's usually that thing where, she's about to get stabbed and they cut away, to the time, which again is perfect for the time loop thing. Cause it's at the point of death, she wakes up in the next time. So it's fine. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be long and drawn out. The car blows up, she wakes up, things like that. So it makes sense. That's cool. The mask design is memorable. I like the kind of character arc she has where she actually has a progression where she's not the most savory character at the beginning of the movie, and she becomes very likable to where you are kind of cheering for her at the end. And I think it's well written in that way, and she kind of earns it, through it, and you grow to like her. So I appreciate that. I like the performance from the Carter guy. I think he's genuinely really sweet and nice, and one of those genuine kind of nice guys that you root for, and you're happy that he gets to get with a very attractive girl into the movie. So that's all well and good as well. So that's cool. Everybody's really good in here. The movie looks good for its small budget. And I think it kind of does what it can with the premise. Again, it's a very simple sort of time loopy thing, but it works, and you can see why this movie got good word of mouth and became a hit. It made a lot of money for a horror movie. $125 million on on a $5 million budget. That's a hell of a turnaround. So kudos to Christopher Landon in that. Yeah.
No, that's good. Christopher Landon. I think he hit on a winner here. So no, it's good to check out.
Yeah, no, good stuff. So, we'll kind of start to wrap it up from there. If Jordan had been on, I probably would have had him spin the wheel. He was on camera with us, but we'll get to that, very soon. And
Probably tournament fights or whatever next.
Yeah, we'll do it next week or something. Beginning of the week, tournament fights or whatever. We'll figure it out. I'll get him to spin the wheel at some point, and we'll figure out what we're doing. Again, barring any major celebrity actor or director deaths, we will continue with regularly scheduled programming and maybe get a few going. We'll see what happens, but you never know, man. It seems like every other one of these episodes has been a tribute episode, unfortunately, because we just did Candyman, which is a tribute. We got back to programming this one. The one before that we did Grease, so we kind of bounce back and forth. So we'll see. Maybe it's an omen that somebody's going to die in the next week because it's time for Wheel of Movies again. So we can't get two in a row. But what you got going on, Richie? Anything you want to talk about?
Lonely Marks here in a few minutes, just under 20 minutes here. Talking Survivor Series and the latest news. I'll be on the Tournament 5, so I think on the championship episode in the 97. I'll be in the free for all. The number I'll be on early number.
Maybe you'll pull a Shawn Michaels. You know what I mean? You could.
I got the Shawn Michaels number. Yeah. So, we'll see how that goes. I feel like I jinxed myself, and I'm like, 30. 36 is my favorite number. Yeah, no. That should be.
Hey, here's the bright spot. In that first group, you get to play with Jeff Snyder and Howell Rudnick. That's cool.
Oh yeah, cool, man. I've met Jeff. I haven't met Howell.
They're both in the first 5, so you'll get to play on screen with them. So you'll get to play on Screen Junkies, Howell Rudnick, and the Insniders. That's cool enough, at least. So
let's go.
It's not a bad trade off. I would say, for being in the first group, you'll get to be on camera with them. So that's pretty all right.
Cool. Well, that's cool. Well, all right, I'll take that.
Take it for the memory. Take it for the memory and the experience. If anything else, that'll be fun.
And but beyond that, just catch me on PS Code and Trivia. Just did a movie release dates one that you hosted, and just Why We Love Horror on it sometimes as well, so I'm around, just getting back in the swing of things.
Yeah, for sure. You can also catch me here on the Movie Hero Network. Hosting this. I'll be co-hosting that free for all on Sunday. So check that out. Make sure you hit the notification bell for that one. That one's gonna be a lot of fun. Yeah, we've got over 30 competitors in that one. Yeah, we got Schmodown people. We got Screen Junkies people. Like I said, we got Howell Rudnick's in there. Jeff Snyder. We got Robert Meyer Burnett finally coming on the channel, so he'll be in the free for all later, and he is confirmed. So yeah, he's right in the middle of the pack there. So that should be really fun. Possibly he's a little 50-50 right now because of a travel schedule, but Chandru Dhanapani might be on there as well from the Schmodown. So we got some heavy hitters. We got some fun stuff playing for this free for all, getting better and better every year. So appreciate everybody who supported that. Yeah, we'll be doing that on Sunday. Before that, I'll be on Rankum on Saturday night talking about unconventional Christmas movies. So those Christmas adjacent movies, as we call them here on the Movie Hero Network. Those ones where it's kind of in the background or just kind of hovering around the movie. Yeah, no, we could. you could picture that. So I mean, the original Die Hard is kind of an unconventional Christmas movie, so it could definitely make the list. So we'll see, but we'll talk about that on Saturday night. Make sure you're joined on the Movie Hero Network Facebook group as well. We announce all of our shows over there and all kinds of links and everything. We'll be linking to the Lonely Marks in there, which you'll see in just a few minutes if you switch it on over to the Lonely Marks Wrestling Podcast channel. So I'll plug that in the group and make sure you can link over there. But that'll do it for tonight. We'll let you guys know what our next episode of Wheel of Movies once we spin the wheel is. Again, pending any celebrity deaths. If there's a celebrity death and they have a most famous movie, that's probably on this wheel. What it'll end up being, we'll see. If that's the case, so stand by. But other than that, yeah, we'll spin the wheel sometime early next week, and we'll figure it out what we're going to do next, and we'll plug that throughout the week. So don't worry about that. We'll get back to the programming. So I'll do it for tonight. So thanks, Richie. Appreciate it as always. I have been Austin Pez Howell, and we'll see you next time on the Wheel of Movies.